though Christmas only came once a year, they were always in the Christmas fever. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. They loved decorating, shopping, and eating the roast beast.
But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not.
The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason.
It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right.
It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight.
But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was too size too small.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who's. Staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frowned at the warm lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath.
They're hanging their stockings.
He snarled with his nails back.
Tomorrow's Christmas. It's practically here.
Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming.
I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow, he knew. All the Who girls and boys will wake bright and early and they wish for the toys. And then,
Oh, the noise! Oh, the noise, 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 noise!
that's one thing he hated.
The noise, 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 noise. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast.
And they'd feast, and they'd feast.
And they feast, 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 feast.
They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast.
Which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
And then they'd do something he liked least of all.
Every Who down in Whoville, the small and the tall, would stand close together on Christmas bells ringing, and they'd stand hand in hand.
And the Who's would start singing.
They'd sing.
And they'd sing! And they sing, 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 sing.
And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing,
The more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how?
then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful idea.
I know just what to do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat.
then he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat.
And he chuckled and chuckled.
What a great Grinchy trick. With this hat and coat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer were scarce, there was no one to be found.
Did that stop the old Grinch?
No.
Grinch simply said,
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he called his dog Max.
Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags
and some old empty sacks.
Then he ramshacked his sleigh. And he hitched up old Max.
Then the Grinch said,
Giddy up!
And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town.
All the windows were dark, quite snow-covered.
All the Who's were all dreaming, sweet dreams without care.
When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1.
The old Grinchy crossed his, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fists.
Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch.
He got stuck only once for a moment or two.
Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace foil where all the little stockings all hung in a row. These stockings are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slumped with a smile most unpleasant.
Around the whole room, and he took every present.
Pop guns,
And bicycles,
And rollerblades, or skates.
drones,
checkerboards,
tricycles, popcorn,
And plums.
and then he stuffed them in bags.
Then the Grinch very numbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney.
Then he snuck to the icebox.
He took the Who's feast.
He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast.
He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash.
Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now,
Grinch, the Grinch,
I'll stuff up the tree.
And then the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove.
When he heard a small sound like a coo of a bird, he turned around fast. He saw a small who.
Little Cindy Lou Who.
Who was not more than 2.
The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who doctor, who had got him in for a cup of cold water.
She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking out Christmas tree? Why?
But you knew that old Grinch was so smart and so subtle. He thought of a lie.
He thought it up quick.
Why, my sweet little tot. The fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. And it's been full, child.
Then he patted her head and got her a drink and sent her to bed.
And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up.
Then the last thing he took was to log up for the fire.
Then he went up the chimney himself, that old liar.
On their walls, well, he left nothing but hooks and some wire.
And the one speck of food left was in a house which was even too small for a mouse.
He did the same thing to the other Who's houses.
Leaving crumbs too small for the other Who's mouses.
It was 1:15.
All the Who's still at bed.
All the Who's still asleep.
When he packed up his sled,
Packed it up with their presents.
the ribbons, the wrappings,
The tags.
And the tinsel.
The trimmings.
Trappings.
3,000 feet up on the side of Mount Crumpet.
He rode with his load to the tip top to dump it.
Who to the Who's?
He was gradually humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise that I simply must hear.
So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started anew.
Then it's starting to grow.
But the sound wasn't sad.
Why, this sound sounded merry.
It couldn't be so. But it was merry! Very!
He stared down at Whoville.
The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook.
what he saw was a shocking surprise.
Every who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, were singing.
Without any presents at all?
He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same.
And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow,
Stood puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours until his puzzle was sore.
Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
And then, what happened?
well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light.
He brought back the toys.
And the food for the feast.
And he himself,
The Grinch carved the roast beast.
In the end, where the Grinch had given back the presents, he had loved Christmas forever and ever and ever. His heart had grown 3 sizes that day.
Far who forest